Hey there my lovely, it's Chloe here from Constellate Tarot, and today is super fucking exciting because we're going to be diving into the root chakra and your connection with the root chakra. Now, I'm sure many of you guys know what the root chakra is, and perhaps you've even spent time working with your root chakra or working with grounding crystals as well, such as red jasper, in order to work with the root chakra, which is represented by the color red. If you're new here, welcome to my channel. I make tarot readings here on YouTube, as well as hosting the collective, which is a badass babe squad that you can get involved with. Just check out the link in my description. Over here, we're all about expansion, self-actualization, and generally just spreading good vibes. So if that sounds like something that you're into, then hit that subscribe button so that you get to see all of my future updates. The most significant things that I've done to heal my root chakra was, I used to be a bit of a hoarder, and I just kind of got rid of all of my stuff. I mean, the stuff that I wore every single day, I kept that, but otherwise I sold it. And I sold like 90% of my stuff, or gave it away to charity or to a friend, or, you know, moved house and left it at the old house. I just did things to make sure that things that I was no longer using were no longer a part of my life. That was the biggest thing I did to heal my root chakra. The second biggest thing I'd say would be getting in this. I went to Thailand and I got in a scooter accident from going too fast on the scooter. And that was, I think, 2 years ago, and many of you guys have seen that I have like a fractured tooth. That's from the accident. It's still in the process of getting fixed. So it's like the universe is just making me have to be so aware of my physical form, because I feel like as a person sometimes I can be up in the ether, up in my crown chakra, my third eye, and not give enough attention to my root chakra. And so getting into that accident really fucking reminded me that, you know, I could have all of these aspirations about wanting to go 80 kilometers down a highway in a foreign country, in a foreign continent, you know, and just feel good because I'm going that fast. But the root chakra says, actually, it's unsafe to do that. It's unsafe to do that. There are things in life that are safe and things that are not safe, because I wasn't listening to my root chakra that much at the time, I don't believe. And so, yeah, for me, that was a massive pivotal moment, because that accident really affected me, actually. But on that holiday where I got into the accident, that's where I dreamt up Constellate. And I'm still living according to the dreams that I made 3 years ago when I was on holiday. So I definitely would not change it for a thing. Well, actually, I probably would change it, but I'm just so glad that grounding my root chakra in that way allowed me to be a lot more stable and a lot more firm. And I think it came with this feeling of powerlessness that made me want to get my feet really stuck into my physical reality, so that I was never in a position like that again. And just to be a lot more organized. And that power of organization was not something that I ever liked. Now I can't go a day without making a to-do list. Like, I'm so much more on board with organization after that holiday, and my business would not be here. I'd probably be working a 9-to-5 job if it was not for me grounding my root chakra. So the root chakra can sometimes need to clear space. Like I said, I was a hoarder. I had to clear out all the stuff that I thought that, you know, oh, I might use this in 4 years' time if I ever go to this one specific place. No, get rid of it. You know, you had to clear out the space for the chakra to be able to thrive. Just like the accident, there was a degree of sacrifice. But I'm not saying you have to do anything as extreme. In this reading, we'll dive in to how you specifically can heal your root chakra and balance your root chakra in order to bring you... I mean, let me just stress, those two situations that I was talking about, now I'm like completely minimalist. I'm so organized and clean. I never used to be a clean person. My room was always a state. Because I got rid of all of my stuff that cluttered my mind, my energy field, I don't really struggle to keep myself, like, my house clean anymore. I don't struggle to keep my mind clean anymore. You know, I have a business that I love. All of these things came from that root chakra work. So don't think it's all just like tears and surprises and things that are difficult. it is getting the life that you actually want, but maybe moving something out of the way. And it is a very physical chakra. So now if you could take 3 deep breaths in and out. In and out. In and out. Amazing. So now that we're both connected to source energy, let's take some time to connect with your cards. We have pile 1, pile 2, and pile 3. We also have a rune for each, as I've loved doing these rune readings. So yeah, fast forward to your timestamp and let's dive into these messages surrounding your root chakra. So hey there, if you chose pile number 1, you've actually got the blank rune, which is known as Weird. And this is kind of a space of infinite potential. It suggests that maybe you don't really focus on your root chakra, maybe you don't like putting energy there so much and you prefer to put it in the other chakras. This also suggests that you may love things like meditation, where you just get to empty your physical body of expectations and thoughts and stuff like that. You may also not be so much into exercise, I'm not sensing. And you may like exercises like yoga, but not so much, strenuous exercises. I'm the same girl, I know. And also this is suggesting to me that you may go through periods in your life of just not feeling very embodied, not feeling the desire to eat as much, not feeling the desire to ground and go out in nature, not really feeling the desire like for sex and things like that, to experience pleasure. Not to say, I think that sex is mainly correlated to the sacral chakra, so if that rings true for you, then definitely stay tuned for the sacral chakra reading that I'm going to be doing soon. But just in general, I feel like connecting to your body and being in your body, as with many spiritual warriors, is not always like super instinctual, because I feel like spirituality is not really a root chakra vibe in general. It's very upper chakra, so we can definitely have a tendency to dissociate from our bodies for that reason. And if you've been on my channel before, you'll know that I like to use these astro dice at the beginning of the reading and then, channel those messages and then move into the tarot in a few minutes. So let's move into your astro dice now and see the astrological energies surrounding your root chakra. Okay, so we have the 4th house, which may indicate that you feel very comfortable staying at home, and maybe the reason why you don't feel comfortable with your physical form is because that kind of being in your body and doing all those things that it requires to be in your body is like you leaving your home. I feel like you just find your cozy place and you like to exist there, and that you're very comfortable there. We also have Scorpio energy, so this may indicate that when it comes to your root chakra, you may be a really powerful manifester, however, so you might be able to attract the things that you want to you, not necessarily by, working hard or dutifully or in the way that the root chakra does sometimes speak about, but you attract it all the same. So maybe you tap in to either your crown chakra or your 3rd eye chakra or your heart chakra in order to meet some of the needs of your root chakra. So this could have stemmed from maybe when you were younger, and you felt like sometimes you couldn't get your needs met by, following the rules, and so you had to have a bigger energy than those around you, like a bigger spiritual energy, so that you could ensure that your needs were met, even if you weren't picked first, or if they weren't provided to you by someone else, that you would still be getting your needs met, which is so important. Okay, and lastly here we have the North Node, which indicates that being connected with your root chakra is in your destiny. So this could look like something like having a business, or having like a shelter for people who don't have a home, or being really into fitness and into exercise. I think that your job here on earth, part of your mission, is help people to become more embodied, however that is for you. And it may actually be the case that however you feel like you're not embodied right now is what you bring to other people. So I do sense that you're going to have quite a physical life path, but that might come as a result of you finding something quite physical. So this could look like you know, if you're not comfortable with eating, maybe finding foods that you love eating, or, you know, getting really into health and fitness and diet and nutrition and stuff like that, and rebranding yourself basically. Or it could look like, for instance, if you're really clumsy, becoming a yoga teacher. Whatever it's for you, whatever way that you don't feel that grounded, I think that's what you're going to be bringing to others throughout your life, which is very, very powerful. Okay, now let's move into this reading. So the first card that we have is the King of Spring. Wow, so I feel like, even though I've said that you're, you know, not super in your body, I feel like you believe that your root chakra gives you the power that you need to do everything that you want to do and just come through, fucking step in like a king, like the King of Wands, King of Spring. This card also speaks about a financial windfall. So you might notice that your root chakra can acquire large amounts of money at one time, but it may be a bit difficult to have like a stable source of income. But you can, when you want to manifest money, because you're in that Scorpio energy, maybe you feel depleted in money and your root chakra is like go, 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 and then you literally do go, 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 go and make a bunch of monies. You may also notice that you are a really good leader when it comes to your root chakra, and that you have people that really support what you do as well, and that makes you feel really rounded. So this again could look like an entrepreneurial journey, with being the main way that you connect with your root chakra, or just in general, I think somewhere where you're able to lead people to where they need to go. So your root chakra is very, very powerful, but maybe you do not also connect with the physical as much. So moving on, we have the card Abundance. And with the Abundance card, this is kind of saying that your root chakra makes sure that you always have everything that you need, and that there's just always doors that are open for you. And maybe your root chakra fetches you experiences that are highly, highly, highly fulfilling for you. Maybe your root chakra fetches you experiences that make you wonder how you managed to get them in the first place, but it's your vibration, that's your point of attraction, and it's just really powerful in the way that it moves through life. This card also speaks about an appreciation for the world around you as well, and an abundance consciousness. So I feel like your root chakra has an abundance consciousness, but at the same time this can make you feel closed, because if there's ever an area in your life where you don't feel abundant in a moment, that can kind of floor you and make you feel like, shit, I'm not abundant anywhere, where it's literally like in this area you don't have that much abundance. So I think that abundance for you is a sign of your root chakra being in a good place. But in general, I feel like maybe also your root chakra can feel like it needs to take more than it needs in order to receive some kind of validation and feeling of safety. Like, I think that your root chakra searches out these abundant experiences in order to feel like you're safe and that you're protected, but that is always something that comes from within you as well. You know, I think abundance really is a state that you receive just because of who you are, not as a result of what's external to you. And that's something that you're learning to cultivate as well. You're learning that abundance isn't a physical amount of money in your bank, it's how you live your life. And I think that's just so much more important to you. Next up with the card Spiritual Strength. I love this. Like, I described you as a spiritual warrior earlier, and I definitely think that this is the case. I think your root chakra is very grateful for your spiritual journey, because this has allowed it to grow and to transform. Maybe you've been through a similar kind of experience as to how I was talking about in the beginning of this reading in the introduction. So yeah, maybe go back to there if you want to hear a little bit more about that as well. But I think in general, your spiritual journey is setting up the energy that you need to see in your life. I was speaking about that Scorpio energy as well. I think that your spiritual journey allows you to magnetize and actually be sensitive to what your root chakra needs to feel safe. That feeling of safety is very important for you, and I think that your spiritual journey gives you a massive feeling of safety. Maybe you don't even realize how brand new this feeling of safety is for you, or how different this feeling of safety is for you. So maybe it would be good to just have like a 5-minute journaling session where you actually like throw back to how things used to be, and really get nostalgic about it. The next card that we have is the renewal card. So this may indicate that you may be planning your future based on your past and on what's going on in the present, not on what you would like in the future. You might be quite, I don't know, I feel like there's a disconnect between your present and the future for some reason, and that you may feel like somehow you're not connected with your life purpose, or you don't know what your life purpose is. Maybe you feel like you have an idea of your life purpose, but based on your, like, what's happened in the past, you don't feel that connected with your life purpose at the minute, or like you're able to fully live it out the way that you would like to live it out. And I think that sometimes you can be quite judgmental of yourself and other people, of like how much security they have for themselves, and that may be slowing down your root chakra for some of you and its growth. And I think that sometimes you may have a desire, like I said with the Scorpio energy, to kind of, you know, give up and start again, and then give up and start again. And that's maybe not as beneficial, because then that kind of can shape the foundations. It's like pulling out your roots and then planting a new seed. And then maybe sometimes you have to wait for that seed to grow. Whereas if you kept on watering that seed, I think sometimes you stop watering the seed and then it dies, and then you're like, okay, let's pull that out and start again. Whereas maybe it would be best to, you know, pivot, like modify the seed. Like if it's not growing the way that you like, maybe find a different fertilizer or something, and just change in gradual ways where there's freedom to change. So if you have freedom to do something slightly differently, then do that, but don't like just rip everything out and start again. I think that that could be harming your root chakra in some ways, okay? Now I want to get into a bit more of like a picture of your root chakra and exactly how it affects you. So the first card we have is desire. Okay, so when you have a very open root chakra, you are very in tune with your desires. You're very in tune with what you want, and you, like I say, pull this towards you. Maybe you have a lot of sexual energy, and this sexual energy allows for you to manifest what you would like into your life. Next up, we have the Six of Summer. So this card does speak about, you know, the foundations that you live. So I think that when your root chakra is like in its normal state, you may just kind of be recreating situations from your past and from your childhood. This card just dropped out as well. Maybe you're recreating situations from your childhood, maybe from a lack state, and that's why when your root chakra begins to open and become a bit stronger, your magnetism turns on. I'm heavily sensing a magnetic energy for this pile. Like you're very good at magnetizing things, and you desire to magnetize things as well. I think it feels good, and it comes from quite a sexual place. In terms of sexual, I just mean in terms of that energy of creation. Like you're so ready to create and do it from a place of desire, like literally sensuality, and make it as appealing to yourself as possible. This card says that the universe powerfully responds the instant that I realign with love, but that's in the reverse. So sometimes when your root chakra is a little bit closed, rather than this sexy magnetic energy where you can literally get anything you want, sometimes maybe when your root chakra is open, you might use like sex magic and stuff like that as well. But when your root chakra is a bit more closed, you just turn this off completely, and you think the universe doesn't hear you, and that you've got to do things that you hate in order to get the outcome that you want, which is the opposite from what you do when your root chakra is really open and you're kind of guided by that material lust, kind of like, yes, I want this and it's going to be mine. I think when your root chakra is more closed, you're like, I can't have this and it's not going to be mine, and so I better just like stick with what the universe gave me and just do something I don't like, just so I don't have to think about doing what I actually want. And that puts you massively out of vibration. So I think that when you're in that space, you need to go back and do some shadow work, because there's always going to be shadow work for you to do. And if you're having thoughts like that, it's always indicative that there's something behind the scenes. Often we can justify it and say, oh, like, I'm just not meant to be rich, or I'm not meant to feel safe, like, this is who I am, I was born like this, I had a difficult childhood. But actually, whenever you have a thought like that, that can be like an indicator, like, shit, let me go do 5 minutes of shadow work. It doesn't even have to be long, and understand what's at the bottom of this, and then I can just move through life with the knowledge of what's kind of caused this within me as well. Okay, let's go into 2 more cards. So I think with the 5 of Wands, when you're in this place where you feel like you can't actually get what you want, it might be because you have too much going on. So right now, if you have something that's not manifesting for yourself, you might have to cut some things out of your life, maybe things that are taking a bit too long when they shouldn't be, or, you know, people who are draining your energy or even draining your vibration or putting you in a lack mindset. And I think that when you're in a place where you are in this lack mindset, it's just so important for you to determine where that conflict is inside rather than ignoring it. I think that's why when you feel bad, sometimes you don't want to do that shadow work because you want to ignore it. But in fact, I think you need to confront that conflict in terms of your beliefs, confront that in terms of your energy field now, and make a sacrifice. Whenever you feel like things aren't working, be like, what am I willing to sacrifice in order to get this? And how will it help me to get to this place? Okay, I think that will be a very powerful manifestation technique for you guys. And let's just move into one last card as well. We have the 3 of Wands. So I think that travel can really help you when you feel like you're stuck in your reality and you can't move past some of the blocks of your root chakra. Going traveling or on some kind of new adventure can just remind you that the world is so much bigger than the environment that you were a part of when you were a child as well. Because when you were a child, you remember things differently to how they actually were. Maybe the actuality was you'd been like annoying your parent for the past 3 hours and they had a stomach bug, and, you know, they had to make you dinner and they were just fed up, and, you know, their boss was really mean to them at work, whereas you might interpret what they were doing as they don't love you anymore, they're not going to be able to provide for you anymore. So I think kids can definitely, like, yes, there is, you know, trauma and stuff like that, but also a lot of trauma forms just because kids can't understand. Or maybe because kids understand better than any of us. I think it's a bit of both, but I think for you, just traveling, adventuring, going on a walk in nature, something where you get out of your 4th house energy of your home and you step out into the world a little bit more, will be really beneficial for you. So those are all the messages that I have in this reading, but I am making a 7 chakra tarot series on YouTube, and if you're wanting an individualized chakra reading, then I do offer these on my Etsy store. Do check that out in the link below. It starts super cheap. I would love to connect with you that way, and I hope you're having a beautiful day. Bye bye, my love. Mwah. So hey honey, if you chose pile number 2, then I'm so excited to dive into this root chakra reading with you. The root chakra is one of my favorite chakras just because that represents our connection with the physical world and our ability to manifest, and I fucking love manifestation as an Aries moon. And I'm so excited for the Aries new moon coming up as well. It's going to be amazing. But let's just dive into your reading. So the rune that you received is the Berkana rune, if you can see. And this rune basically speaks about growth, family, things like, you know, circles of women. Maybe you feel really connected with women and your family, and that is a symbol of a really strong root chakra within you. I also feel like you're really connected with foundations and the formation of new connections, so networking and networks, and that is again really supportive of you, because then you go into a new space and you're like, okay, I'm safe here because I can form a network and I can do this. So I think that's really powerful. I also feel like you might find it very easy to implement plans that you have because you have a really good network and support system around you who support you along your journey. And in a reading about love as well, this could speak about things like marriage and, you know, making a commitment to someone, having a child, and all of these things that are symbols of commitment. So in general, I think that that's the kind of energy that you channel through your root chakra. Even if you're single, I think that networking and connecting with people is really foundational for your root chakra. Because as I say in the intro, the root chakra is really connected with our security in life. Now let's move into your astro dice. If you've been on my readings before, you'll know that I usually start the tarot messages a few minutes in. So in the beginning, I usually use runes, astro dice, and channeled messages to tap into your energy. Let's tap a little bit into these astro dice for you. Okay, so we have That's the North Node. So again, I think that your destiny is to be a very family oriented person, maybe to set up some kind of community or start some kind of network, or just be really in touch with people. And so that's something that naturally comes to you. That's an area where you naturally have a lot of abundance. Next up, with the 5th house, you might be a performer or like being the center stage. And I think just in general, you're really comfortable expressing yourself with people. You're comfortable being seen, and know that you'll be valued in the space that you're seen at, because you're aware of your intrinsic value. And then with the root chakra, with the Taurus asteroid next, I'm sensing that you're someone who may be very physically beautiful. You may eat really good food, like healthy food, and have like a really appealing face, which can mean that people automatically want to know more about you and talk to you, because you have a face that just screams like, this person's stable, this person can network, this person is connected with a lot of good things and is just stable. Like, I think you have a very the face and like beauty of someone who is comfortable in life, and that makes people kind of drawn to you and attracted to you as well. But just in general, I think that that gives you a place of stability, because it gives you a confidence and a security because of that confidence. So I think that your security is majorly connected with networks and the people that you meet, and it's a very humane thing, which makes sense because the root chakra is a very humane chakra. It's the most physical chakra, and humans, we're 3D. We've got bodies, we've got blood, we're animals. And so yeah, I think that's super important. And the fact that all of these kind of human descriptions came up maybe indicates that you're not so much big on like possessions, like expensive lipstick or expensive handbags or stuff like that. I think that you are more about, you know, the connections that you meet and the things that you can do with those people that you meet and that you love as well. And that's even maybe where you enjoy spending your money, and that makes the most sense to you. But let's move a little bit into your tarot messages now. Okay, I'm so excited. What's your first card? I feel like this is going to be a good one. Okay, I just want to know like a little bit more about what your root chakra represents to you. Okay, so we have the 2 of Swords. Very interesting. So I think that this can lead you to sometimes maybe your root chakra is not sure what you want. Interestingly enough, you're not sure if you want a friendship or a relationship. For some of you, you're not sure what will give you that security. I think some people are just like, yeah, I want a relationship, let's go into this, blah, 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 blah. And you're like, no, I need to have everything figured out. I don't know if I want to invest in this thing 1,000,000%, because what if I do it and then, you know, I have to keep doing it and I feel unstable in that place. I think that your root chakra can lead you to indecision, because it's always trying to fetch the most high quality nutrient. And sometimes people may be able to sense this as well and get a little bit wary of you. But I think that that's balanced out by the fact that you're looking for high quality nutrients, because people are like, well, at least that's cool. Like, I like high quality nutrients and I want to absorb this too. So let me get on this wave. But at the same time, it may lead you to discard projects or people or ideas, because you're like, not now. You know, that's not giving me the security that I need right now. I need a 10 and it's a 2. Rather than working it from a 2 to a 10, I think you're automatically like, okay, let's go that way instead. Let's go this way. But at the same time, I think that once you're going in a certain direction, oh, sorry, I just got a message there. Once you're going in a certain direction, you really trust it. And I mean, in this card, the character is blindfolded as well. So I don't think that you are trying to be shady or something when you sometimes, you know, discard people or ideas or things like that. But I think that you are generally just led by this very physical intuition. Yeah, that's it, a very physical intuition. And maybe you've been through a difficult life as well. I mean, maybe for some of you, it hasn't always been an easy road and you haven't always felt sure of your journey, but you've gotten to a place now where you feel comfortable, and maybe some of you are shit scared of going back to that place. This could look like, maybe I'll put a little trigger warning in just now. It could look like things like self-harm, alcohol abuse. It could look like seeking partners who were just not validating of you at the time. But I think that a lot of this is in your past, but it gives you such a contrast, because maybe when you were in that place, either struggling with, you know, an eating disorder or something, whatever it is that you struggled with made you feel super ungrounded, made you feel super not in control of your body. And so now it's like you want to feel super grounded, and if anything has the potential of taking that away from you, you just don't want it, okay? So let's move a little bit into your reading. Oh, bunch of cards be flipping over. Oh my gosh. Well, I think your root chakra is not the most active of your chakras. I think maybe your sacral chakra, which is kind of talking about sexuality, creativity, and luxury, things like food, that may be a bit more open. But I think for that reason, energy flows to your root chakra, because it's like it knows that it's going to have to be around the root chakra in order to allow for that sacral enjoyment of life. So you're going to need that security in order to enjoy life the way that you want to. And the card that we have says that I believe I'm worthy of feeling good. So just like I was saying, I think your root chakra is connected with your experience of joy, and that you have a stable root chakra because it allows you to feel good. It allows you to experience joy, and you believe that you deserve that stuff. So I think that that's quite a healthy place for your root chakra to be, to feel like you're worthy of all of these things that your root chakra wants for you, whether that's, you know, a nice trip somewhere, or to be able to invest in yourself, or to have a house that you like, or a car that you like, whatever it is. You intrinsically, fundamentally, according to this card, believe that you're worthy of having those things. Of course, not everything, okay? But I think maybe the most out of these piles so far, you believe that you are worthy of it. Maybe because I think that a lot of you grew up in quite privileged upbringings, but they're all the same. You may have had a difficult time connecting with feeling safe, especially in your later years. Maybe you had more of a sheltered upbringing, and then, you know, in the past 10 years or something, it's not been so easy for you to feel safe after moving like away from home and away from your family. So you intrinsically believe that you're worthy of having things that you want because you've always been able to do that. But at the same time, it's about maybe at the time when you were going through this difficult stuff, you didn't feel worthy of these things. And so now it's like riding a bicycle, kind of turning back on these beliefs. So it's like riding a bicycle, but I think someone's maybe showing you how to ride the bicycle of believing in yourself, even though it's a natural place for you. Does that make sense? Okay, cool. Let's move into your reading. So we have the Ace of Fires. So maybe you're starting to explore your passions and explore your reality from a space of more power, of wanting to do what specifically makes you feel good. Maybe becoming a bit more independent, because as I say, you were really connected with groups of people before, and maybe that kind of slowed down your ability to manifest at times because you've been moving as part of a collective rather than as part like an individual. And so you're manifesting as part of that collective, which sometimes is a lot more powerful than manifesting alone, don't get me wrong. But I think now you're at a place where you're pursuing your own passion and your own ideas and not being bound by the limits of the people around you. You're more looking to them as a source of security. Next up, we have the Six of Cups, which the last reading got 2 actually, but this is indicating that something that might be kind of harming your root chakra is in a similar way to, you know, you exploring your independence. You might still be living at home or with family, or, you know, not really making so many new friends, just having a really strong circle of people who you kind of cling to, and maybe put some of your identity and your security in that net. So in terms of like how secure you feel because you're with your family, and you know that they can help provide for you if you ever needed it, you know, that's your security. But then when it comes to providing for yourself, maybe you can feel a little bit more uncertain and scared about that. And so I think that having this safety net behind you can actually be limiting your success, because if you were out in the world alone and you didn't have that net, I think that you would pursue this new endeavor with a lot more vigor and a lot more passion, because it would have to fulfill you. It would have to be able to sustain you, and then you'd be looking at it a different way. Not to say to put yourself in fucking survival mode, but the root chakra is connected with, you know, our survival instincts. And so I'm just saying maybe your survival instincts would be a bit more fine-tuned if you did not have this background. So maybe kind of when you're making decisions about this new project or endeavor, whether that's career endeavor, a business project or something, maybe just moving from a place of like, what would I do if I didn't know that I have all of this money accessible to me, or all of this security accessible to me, like how would I have to live? Like what decisions would I make if that was the case? Because that might help you to propel you to more success. So yeah, okay. Because I always think it's like your why has to be big enough for it to happen. You know, if you're manifesting and you don't know why you want it, you're like, oh, I want, you know, to be booked this week. Well, why do you want to be booked this week? Oh, it would just feel nice. You know, whereas I feel like sometimes, like, I look at working mum entrepreneurs and their why is always so clear, and a lot of the time I find that their manifestations can be so powerful because of that. Their why is because I've got a child to feed, don't play with me. Like, it's very practical, and the universe listens. The universe, I think, responds to that a lot of the time, having a clear intention behind what you're doing. And so what I'm saying is I think it would be beneficial for you to turn on that why, turn on that intention to help you to manifest more powerfully using your root chakra. So let's move a little bit inside of the reading. Inner the reading. Okay. I'm just faking. So when your root chakra, oh my god, there's a lot of indecision in this pile. I'm just going to pull all of the cards, to be fair, because this is crazy. You've got the 2 of Swords and then the 2 of Pentacles. So when your root chakra is open, you may feel like you don't have a lot of time for yourself, like you're always moving, like you've attached yourself very strongly to certain institutions or firms. I'm hearing like a law firm or something, I don't know, for some of you. Maybe some of you have parents who work at a law firm and you're kind of like interning for them or something like that. It doesn't have to be a law firm, but for some of you that message will be accurate. And so that gives you a major feeling of security. But then at the same time, you might feel like there's just no energy for yourself, and that you can't dedicate to yourself and to your own passions and explore your own ideas. But then when you are not feeling like you're so bound to your root chakra, you know, when you're feeling like you have a little bit more freedom, maybe this is at the weekends, it's like this fertile queen just jumps out of you. You're literally like maybe a domestic goddess. Maybe you make really delicious meals, like I've spoken about a few times in this reading, with you being with the Taurus energy here. Maybe you're a Taurus, maybe you're a Leo, because this is the 5th house, but just in general, I'm sensing that there's some fixed sign energy. Instead of being so time bound, you begin to just create from a very effortless, natural and beautiful place as well, which I think is so beautiful. And then when your root chakra is in a more closed place, I feel like you can become very depressed and withdrawn and not feel like you're enough, and feel very gloomy and like you've got to focus on the negative. And this can be, for instance, when you feel like you're not attached to things, like maybe when you don't have a job, or when you don't have some of the luxuries that you like in life, or you don't have as much cash or you don't feel like you're clear about what your purpose is or your next move is. I think that you can become quite creative, to be fair, very creative, which is good, but then at the same time you could really withdraw from reality and the people that you love around you, and kind of may sometimes get even mixed up with the wrong crowd. Not to say that they're awful crowd, but maybe just not people who bring you what you need in life, because you're not as connected with that, and you have this desire to always be connected to like an institution or a group of people who are making power together. But with the Empress, I think that you make so much power on yourself, and that is why sometimes I think have this group with you, but step into your own power as well, because you can do it. So I think when you're in this space where you might feel very creative but a bit sad, it's going to be necessary for you to maybe become a little bit more caring for the people around you, because you have a very intuitive power within you, I feel. And with the Empress, you're naturally very attentive and caring to the needs of others. But sometimes when you're feeling like you're not clear about yourself, or you know things aren't working well, I think in that space just kind of tend to the people around you. Maybe some of you are parents as well. I was speaking about the why earlier. But in general, I feel like you're a very mothering person, even if, you know, you don't necessarily have kids. I think that you're really mothering, and so I think just mothering yourself, making sure that all of your physical and emotional needs are tended for, will help you to get back into that Empress place. So when you're feeling like, oh, I don't know what to do, maybe you haven't been eating well recently, maybe you haven't been connecting with your networks recently, maybe you haven't been working hard on something you care about recently, so it would be necessary for you to give yourself a project. Really mother yourself when you feel not connected with your root chakra. And I'm going to go for one final card about what you can do when you feel overwhelmed and like there's just so much time that you need to dedicate to your projects and to people outside of yourself. Like, what can you do in order to help close your root chakra a bit? So we have the Ten of Wands, which speaks about kind of getting help from others. And back in deck energy again, we have the Two of Pentacles, same card. So I think that it's just about getting help from others, realizing that you're carrying a heavy load and not feeling uncomfortable with asking for support from others as well. Whether that's like support in helping to complete some of your tasks, or you know, helping to make your life a little bit easier, just being comfortable with being supported, because I think you're comfortable supporting others but not necessarily being supported, because then it makes you feel like you're dragging weight. Because you're a part of this network, it's like if one person's down, then you believe that all the others have to come to help them. But if you're down, you think that people will have to come to help you, and that means that you're not able anymore to go and help those other people. You think that other people should be the one who's receiving help, not you. So I think that just becoming comfortable with the idea of receiving support, just as you give so much support, would be really beneficial for you in moving into the future. So I really hope that this reading resonated with you, and I can't wait to see you in my next reading. Bye, my lovely. So hey, if you chose pile number 3, I'm getting a really vital energy. Like, you guys have a really strong root chakra. Maybe it's one of your strongest chakras, and that just comes from being really grounded into the material world, the physical realms. So this could look like cooking really good food and diving into the rune that you've received. This is Cervelo, which represents the sun and basically speaks about someone with a lot of vitality. Maybe some of you guys are athletes, or you train like athletes as well. I think you take your physical health very seriously, and your physical body is something that's important to you. It's the vessel, it's the ship, and for you that's the most important, because if the ship can't work, then the rest of your life doesn't work. This may also indicate that some of you guys are a bit uncomfortable with relaxing. You like to have like a 9 to 5 super scheduled life where you know what you're doing at each time, and then in that, you know, when you break from that routine, then you feel really good. But when you're in that really vital place, maybe you can struggle to find time for yourself to relax, because you are tending to your needs of your root chakra. So for instance, going to work, or you know, making food, or doing things that make you feel like secure and safe, because you want to stay on top of your shit, because you always are on top of your shit, is what I'm sensing with the Cervelo rune. And if you've been on one of my readings before, you'll know that usually I spend the first few minutes kind of channeling messages, as well as reading these runes, reading these astro dice. So I'll dive into your tarot messages in just a sec, but I hope you're enjoying this reading so far. And if you're wanting to work on your root chakra as well, I'd really suggest getting a journal and a pen just to make some notes that you can come back to after this reading too, so that these messages really can be absorbed for you. So let's go into your astro dice now. So here we have Saturn. So with Saturn again, this is saying that you love rules, you love restrictions and regulations, because that allows you to have the freedom to do what it is that you want to do in life, and that makes you feel really grounded and secure. Like you have an anchor that's tying you to something, rather than just like fucking floating around. I know that I can love to float around it sometimes, but I feel like you're a person that really benefits from having a really structured and disciplined way of life. Maybe you're the kind of person that has 3 meals a day at the same time, for instance, and you know, has a workout routine, all of these different things, and that's how you connect with your root chakra. Next up we have the 10th house, which is kind of like sideways. So I think that your career is really important for you to connect with your root chakra, but it's less like your job than the security that your career gives you. So maybe you have a career that has certain benefits and rewards that make you feel really abundant and safe and generous as well, like you're able to give to others because of this. And this is definitely a part of how you connect with your root chakra. Your career makes you feel really stable. Maybe it has a good income, maybe it's good hours, good pay, maybe it's in a good location, it has a nice office, maybe your co-workers are also very stable people, so being around them makes you feel really stable. Those are the messages I'm seeing for the 10th house. And lastly we have Pisces energy. So that's interesting. So I feel like when you feel like you can serve other people, you feel comfortable in your root chakra. When you feel like maybe you're very willing to sacrifice in order to get your material needs met. You know, some people will be like, oh, I don't want to wake up at 7 a.m. Like, that's just bullshit. Why would I wake up at 7 a.m.? People are like, well, I'm waking up at 7 a.m. because I have to get my HIIT workout in, because then I have work at 8. And if I don't wake up at 7, then I'm only going to be able to work out for 15 minutes, and then I'm going to miss my shower, and then I'm going to be stinky and blah, blah, blah. And it all just makes sense to you. Like, for me, I would never in my life wake up at 7 a.m. for a workout. I have in the past, but maybe in 10 years or 20 years time I'll have evolved into that kind of person. But for you, it comes very easily and naturally, and maybe it's not working out specifically, but I am sensing like a very vital energy that you're willing to wake up early for something. Okay, and that counts, because we literally are in a pandemic right now. So moving into your tarot messages, I'm so excited to get started. Okay, interesting. So, with the Queen of Swords, I think that your connection to your root chakra is that you are very organized, that you very much like to be in control. Yeah, the Queen of Swords is a very kind of dictator-y card. So, this is just your mind being very clear about what you do to meet your own needs. You might have an air sign Mercury, or maybe even an air sign Mars, or something that just propels you into being able to be very organized and prepared when it comes to meeting your needs. And this comes from like not a super, I wouldn't say it's a super strict place, but it's a super regulated place. And maybe you don't even need to journal. Your mind is just effortlessly clear with what it takes to meet your needs physically. And I think this has maybe come from a family. Not necessarily where you had a fuck ton of money, but where it was always important to make sure that your physical needs are met. That you're having, you know, those 3 meals a day. That you're on time for things. That you have a sturdy job and show up to your commitments. Things like that. Where you wake up at a certain time. All of these things I think were distilled within you. So that now that you're out of that environment, I think that you may be a bit more well off than you were growing up, and that's where the generosity comes in. But just in general, I think that this has allowed you to feel a lot more safe within yourself, and it's like you've taken the lessons from your childhood, from your youth, with you throughout your life, okay? Okay, so the next card that we have is the Time to Decide card, which is very interesting. The card itself shows this really badass bitch who kind of has this selenite wand out in front of her, and there's all of these zeros and ones, all of these numbers, and it's like she's got this aura, this force field around her. I always love receiving this card. But in terms of your root chakra, I feel like your root chakra is very stable in one way, and that way is that you have really plugged yourself into a certain reality where it's not necessarily you governing all of your steps and what you do. Maybe you have a boss or someone, but it just leads to a lot of feelings of stability within you. But it's closed in other ways, because this card asks you to make a decision based on your heart's true desires. I think that you believe that if you really do what your heart wants for you, you won't be able to be successful, you won't be able to have security, that you won't benefit from it. And I think that that could be like holding you back a little bit, you know, because maybe you feel like you have to stay in this job, you have to stay in this role, as it's the only way you can get security. Jobs where you'll actually enjoy every day don't exist. Maybe you think something like that. So on the one hand, while your root chakra is quite open when it comes to your job, you're very willing to do what it takes to close the deal. At the same time, maybe, you know, you could choose a deal that's a bit more pleasurable for you, but that doesn't seem like something that makes sense in your reality. But I think that there's something that's helping you to find this joy within yourself and to prioritize it again, you know. Okay, the card that we have is the Fool. Wow, okay. That just speaks about adventure, just going out there, not giving a fuck. Maybe in your life recently, you've been doing things that are more pleasurable, and we have the Eight of Swords as back of deck energy, so maybe you felt like you were trapped for a while, and now you're just like, fuck it, I don't care. I'm gonna look silly, I'm gonna have fun, I'm not gonna care what anyone thinks about me. I'm just gonna do this because I like it. You know, I'm at work, you know, 40 hours a week. So when I come home, I just want to express my creativity and not give a fuck about what anyone says or thinks, except for myself. I I'm ready to please myself. And I think that that's really beneficial to you. This could even look like a sexual exploration journey for some of you guys. But in general, I think it's just you prioritizing your happiness a bit more and doing things that make you happy. I think that's really helping your root chakra, because it's showing your root chakra that you can have security and still be happy. You know, you don't have to just work. You can work and play, or you can have a job that's play, but maybe that's in the future. But for now, I feel like working and playing rather than just working is really fun for you. And when I say playing, I don't mean like playing a game. I mean like having fun, like having, you know, the kind of fun that you have to have as a kid, and it's like all you're doing is like running around on like a patch of grass, but it just feels so enjoyable. That's the kind of fun that I'm speaking about here. Okay. And this might be a brand new place for you, somewhere that you've not, you know, been so comfortable exploring. Maybe you don't have like a specific passion project or something that you want to explore. Maybe it's just you taking energy and trusting in yourself to be silly. But with the card, the Mother, this could indicate that your relationship with your mother may be somehow not the healthiest, not the best, and that you can improve your communication with your mother, because it might be damaging your aura a little bit when it comes to your root chakra. Maybe you have some grudges towards your mother, or you didn't feel secure growing up because of your mother. Also, that's how you see it in your brain. And so for this reason, maybe you feel like you're not attached to your mother for that reason. And at the same time, maybe you're quite mothering and you like to mother other people. And I think this can also be slowing down your root chakra, because I think that sometimes you mother other people because you feel like you need to be mothered. So rather than mothering yourself, you may mother other people. Okay, and so I think that healing your relationship with your mother, as well as being comfortable mothering yourself, is going to be really, really beneficial to you. Let's take a moment to break down what it means to mother yourself. What does a mother do? So the baby is hungry. Mummy gets the baby healthy food that, you know, doesn't get the baby like sweets or a venti Starbucks latte. It gets the baby nutritious food. You know, baby is tired, it puts the baby to bed at a good time. Baby is upset, it kind of asks the baby what's wrong in a way that invites emotional development and understanding. So it takes care of the emotional needs of the baby. You know, if it meets the hygiene needs of the baby. All of these different things. You know, if the baby's nails are long, it will cut the nails of the baby. All of these different things. Just taking care of yourself as if you were your own baby would be really good for you. And it can feel a bit hard to conceptualize what that means. But just pause this video and write down 5 ways you can mother yourself like today. You know, 5 things that need to be done today to mother yourself. Well, not need to be done, but could be done today. And I'd say if you want to get really into it, you could write a list of 30 things. And then whenever you want to, just come back down to that list to remember. And I think it won't take more than 5 minutes, and it could be really beneficial to you in healing your heart chakra with your mother, as well as your root chakra. I also think having more honest discussions about your childhood with your friends or your family would be really beneficial for you, just with the people that you trust, to help you determine, like, why do you feel these emotions towards your mother subconsciously, rather than, I think you feel them and don't address them, but maybe addressing them could be the winning ticket. Okay, so the next card is the Age of Light, which says that you've been training for this for lifetimes. Wow. So sometimes when your root chakra is really open, when your root chakra is really ready to give, you literally live life as if you were an athlete, like I said in the beginning of the reading, like you're training for something big. You know, like you wake up, do your 50 reps, do you go to work, do as if you've been like just doing the same thing for lifetimes now. And maybe you have. Maybe you've lived quite a few human lives on this earth, rather than lives in other planets or other dimensions. And for that reason, you're very familiar with the human experience and what it takes to survive as a human, especially because for most of history, you know, waking up, if you were late to work, that would have very real consequences. Whereas now it's like you've got phones, you've got like all of these different things, you have a bunch of employees working in the same space. Whereas maybe in past lives, it was just you, and you had to if you wanted to eat, you had to sow your crops, and if you wanted to sow your crops, you had to be at the market for a certain time. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think it was a lot more important for you to be on top of your security. So that is a lesson that you learned many past lives ago, which I definitely am still discovering in this life, okay? Yeah, when your root chakra is open, you definitely find it easy to meet the challenges of your responsibilities. Next up, we have the 9 of water. So this could indicate that sometimes when your root chakra gets a little bit more closed, you might kind of struggle to see the light. You might feel like, what am I doing this for? Which is strange, because I feel like you know exactly what you're doing it for when your root chakra is open, when you've given yourself an anchor. But I think that you need to anchor yourself to things to get that feeling of security. And so when you're not anchored to something as much, you don't feel so secure, okay? When your root chakra is a bit more medium, you might feel like your average Joe. You might not feel like there's anything that makes you that unique. And it might become difficult to find inspiration in the world as well. You might also feel quite emotional. So like listening to songs and just really feeling the lyrics and connecting with those so strongly. So I think that your emotions definitely activate when you're not as bound to something. But when you're super bound to things, you can sometimes distance yourself from the pleasures of life and focus on, you know, the fact that your job can allow you to experience certain pleasures, okay? And you might get triggered as well by certain situations in your life. I think that when you're not working so hard, it's like, I think you anchor yourself to these jobs and stuff, because otherwise you feel like you're anchored to your past and you'll never move from your past. And I think you might have a lot of like nostalgic or maybe more sad memories when your root chakra is like, just when you're going about your life at your base level, you might feel a little bit uncertain about your next moves and stuff like that. And maybe emotionally, you might feel quite volatile, some of you. I mean, that's not so much about your root chakra, but it's interesting that that's how your root chakra works. So maybe the energy struggles to move, when your root chakra is normal, it struggles to move up to your sacral chakra as much. And you might find yourself experiencing certain conditions like depression or just in general confusion as well. And needing to do that emotional enlightenment. I definitely sense that your focused root chakra can sometimes come as a result of wanting to escape some of your emotions. And maybe you can kind of ruminate on some of the negative things that have happened in your past, as if that's your roots, as if that's your foundation. But then at the same time, I think that you're a lot more gentle with your emotions when your root chakra is less open, when you're less busy. But it's very important for you to not let these emotions from the past dictate your future, okay? Dictate your now moment, basically. Let's move a little bit more in. This card really wanted to speak. It jumped the fuck out. And it's the Solitude card. So maybe when your root chakra becomes closed, you completely withdraw from people. I think in general, you spend your time here as if you're in the army, basically. Just really regimented. But when you step away from that, you might get a bit emotional. You might have a tendency to drink more than usual and feel quite nostalgic emotions. And then when your root chakra closes up even more, I think that that's a sign that something's wrong, because that forces you into solitude. I think that when you feel like maybe this is periods of your life where you've not had a job or something, this has just made you want to spend time alone completely and not want to be around people. Maybe this is because these emotions then completely consume you. And these emotions, like, you literally believe that that is your identity. Who you are in your past is your identity, and you've got to be alone because of that. Because maybe that's the only way that you can meet your needs, and maybe your connection to your needs depreciates. So you feel like, you know, I don't deserve healthy food. I just deserve like a meal a day or something, which is very unlike you. Usually you care a lot about things like that, I feel. But sometimes you're just not able to hold that same space for feelings like that. Next up, the card that we have is the crown chakra. So I think that when you're feeling so low and like you need to be in solitude, connecting with your crown chakra will help you to open your root chakra. Okay, I think your root chakra and your crown chakra are connected, which is interesting because they're the bottom and the top chakras. And so for me, I'm getting that this could be a polarity between wanting to embrace spirituality and wanting to live in the 3D world. I think when you want to be away from people, it's because you don't feel so spiritual within yourself. You maybe don't feel like you're connected with other people, or like there's no happiness in the world, everything's bleak. I think you can get very pessimistic, and that can make you want to distance yourself emotionally from people. Maybe just watching happy videos of like babies dancing on the internet, or just doing something just to get you a bit like more boosted when you're feeling like you need to spend time away from people. You know, replenishing your energy, reconnecting to your crown chakra, because I'm sensing that, you know, when your root chakra is too open, your crown chakra may pull energy away, and then that makes you spend time alone a little bit more. Okay, so I think that when your root chakra is really open, that can connect you with your crown chakra in one way because you're really connected with like the organization that you're a part of and the work that you're doing and your mission as part of humankind, things like that. But then it can also pull you away from the spiritual side of the root chakra, and therefore that creates that spiritual disconnect because all of your crown chakra energy is going into your root chakra themes thing. And so then you try to compensate by building up your own foundation and your own crown chakra vibe. You know, finding out what makes you happy outside of these individuals. You can kind of lose yourself a little bit maybe sometimes when you get so tied in with your root chakra. Okay, and let's move into the last card of your reading. So I think this is about when you're feeling really busy at work. With the Two of Wands, it may be good to do little things that allow you to dream. Whether this is like, this is going to sound so stupid, like online shopping for clothes and stuff, like outfits and stuff, like watching YouTube videos, I don't know, just reconnecting with small things that make you feel connected to yourself and give you hope could be really good for you. And for some of you, I think starting a dream journal as well, because we dream every night, and that is such a fun experience if we can pick up the energies and the messages from our dreams as well. I think for you, you have really powerful dreams, and connecting with your dreams will connect you with your crown chakra. So yeah, I hope that you have a beautiful day ahead of you, and I cannot wait to see you in my next reading. Bye, my love.